Hello and welcome to MS-4004. My name is Lockie and I'm here to take you through how Copilot can help you in your workday. Now before we begin, a little bit about myself. I'm based in Canberra in Australia and I am a Microsoft technical trainer. I help clients in high compliance scenarios get skilled up in a whole range of different areas, but my specialty is in multi-cloud and also hybrid cloud. That means I've done a lot of work with clients with documents all over the place. And using Copilot as an impetus to kind of bring things together and make the best use of all of the document libraries you have, the databases you build, it's kind of been my modus operandi the last few years here. So, what am I here to take you through? Well, with the lens of high compliance, I do a lot of work about how Copilot actually works under the hood. It's important to understand what it's doing. And my goal is for you to have a good understanding of how it actually works, not how we say it works or how it's said it works in the sales material, how you can actively use it in your workday, and how it works best for you in your specific scenario. So, without further ado, let's begin and start talking Copilot. Now, specifically, we are here today to talk about Microsoft 365 Copilot. There are many Copilots in the Microsoft ecosystem, and Microsoft 365 Copilot is the one that is designed to work with all of the components of Microsoft 365 and Office 365 more broadly. So I think before we begin, it's good to get a little bit of a level set. Let's talk about what it is, what it isn't, and what it's being built upon. So, Copilot for Microsoft 365 is the main child of what we're going to be talking about today. It's the main topic of our course and the main thing that we are focused on. But there are many Copilots, as I said. The Copilot for Word works differently to the Copilot for Excel, the Copilot for Outlook, Teams, Loop, and the rest of the Microsoft 365 ecosystem broadly. Each individual Copilot has its own set of special skills and is designed to work in a specific way. We call these two different types of experiences either standalone or embedded. The standalone experience for Copilot for Microsoft 365 is what you'll get at office.com or over in the Copilot app on your machine. Additionally, Teams actually makes use of the standalone version of the Microsoft 365 Copilot app, and it uses this to be able to reach out to Teams messages, look at calendar invites, and be able to bring in broader context about how Office works on the day-to-day. When we use an embedded experience, we use those in-app. And many of my demonstrations are going to focus on that in-app experience. This is where we focus in on some specific skill set. When we use Copilot in Excel, it's great at coming up with new formulas. When we use it in Outlook, it's designed for drafting emails and being able to coach us into, well, writing the right thing. When we're using it in Word, it's about recreating a document, redrafting, coming up with new suggestions, and looking for new improvements within that behavior. Each Copilot has a specific set of skills, and we look to utilize those whenever we can. But I keep using this word Copilot, and I think it's nice to just have a little bit of a background about what a Copilot actually is. Like, what is Copilot for Microsoft 365? We know what it's going to do for us, and I'll give plenty of demonstrations about how it's going to work for you. But under the hood, it's really three separate components. The first is an LLM, or a large language model. There are many different companies out there coming up with large language models. LLMs are designed to reach out to large data sets of information and be able to find patterns in how human language is written, and a little bit of how human language is spoken as well. We use this to be able to find easy, predictable pathways. So when we say, I have a pet, what's the next word? It could be dog, it could be cat, it could be bird, but there is a pathway that we can follow, and we know what the most likely response is going to be based on the data that we originally feed in. Now, critically, LLMs are packaged and static. Your information is not used to retrain or improve an LLM. These are things that we utilize and that we update over time, but these are generally provided by an external company. Whilst we as Microsoft do make various large language models and small language models ourselves, our research team is very skilled in that area. OpenAI is the main basis for many of the different packages that we use in the LLM space. Now, away from the technical jargon, what are we adding in when you go for a Copilot? The first thing is the protections and guardrails that you come to expect with a Microsoft system. These are things that do evolve and improve over time. We use this to ensure that when you use a Copilot, it responds in an appropriate manner. It behaves in a way that makes sense for an enterprise. You want something that you're going to use at work to feel like a tool you should be using at work. So we leverage the different pieces of our ecosystem, the different APIs we already have access to, and the great skill we already have in terms of filtering language, in terms of making sure that it is fair and responsible in its responses, and ensuring that it is grounded in a level of reality and accuracy. And the last critical piece, the thing that makes Copilot for Microsoft 365 something different, is the graph. Now, what the graph is a reach out API where we can hit an endpoint, a point in your environment that says, what's on your calendar? What's in your Outlook? What's on Teams? This is the thing that allows us to feed in all of the baseline components of the LLM, packaged with those protections, and then we add on the content you provide from your Microsoft 365 environment. So, baseline package wrapped with all the protections and guardrails you need to be enterprise ready, and then you bring the content, the thing that makes it personalized to you specifically. That is what a Copilot is, and that is what Copilot for Microsoft 365 is when you actually use it on the day-to-day. The Copilot system is designed to be able to give you a simple, trusted place to be able to do your work. We use these LLMs in combination with the graph in order to give you that proper, seamless integration across that Office 365 suite. And additionally, you can expect that there is going to be contextually aware responses. So that is the baseline of what Microsoft 365 Copilot is and what it's going to provide for you. There is a critical thing that you do need to know about this work version of Copilot. It is license-based. So you do need to ensure that you have the correct license in your environment and that it has been enabled in your environment today. Copilot is not on by default. It is something that an organization needs to enable. Of course, right now, for non-work use, you have access to a Copilot. Over on Bing, there is a Copilot available for general use and for great web queries. But it's not designed with enterprise protections in mind. It's designed for general search terms and general use cases. If you are looking to integrate with Microsoft 365, pulling your emails and all of the things you expect out of a work environment, that's where we're going to require a license. So if you don't have access to it today, there's a couple of things that need to happen in the back end there, and that might be why. Now, let's talk about what Microsoft 365 Copilot does for you specifically. The three things you see on here: understanding context and user need, transforming how you work, and giving yourself a whole bunch of key capabilities. These effectively show what a base Copilot is able to normally do. The understanding of context, that's based on the graph. The more we can pull in from there, the better we are able to work with the data you provide. Transform how you work, large language models, and the secondary piece of that, a natural language processor, means that we can take the questions you ask, run them through an algorithm, and then the LLM can process them and give an output that feels right. It feels like you're talking to someone, like you have an assistant or a Copilot on the side. And of course, the last thing is that baseline LLMs have many key capabilities that we are leveraging. The ability to rewrite, to analyze, to find different components, whilst also ensuring that you are, well, secure. You have access to the things you should have access to and no more. It's critical to ensure that we're managing all three of those pieces. This right here is the logical architecture of how a Copilot actually fits together. And I like to leave this one in just as a way of giving you one last set of how the graph actually functions. Just remember that a Copilot alone, the thing that we see at this point, that Microsoft 365 Copilot out of the box, it does great work, but doesn't know you. The graph, the thing that means that if it is something you can't see, Copilot can't see it. If it's something that you are able to pull, Copilot can pull it. We use your permissions. So if Copilot can see it, you can see it. That is a really important part of how we have designed this. It should work out of the box with all of the various permissions you already expect. So always keep that in mind. Now, there's one last piece of this that I haven't actually defined properly yet. We talked about LLMs already, those pre-packaged components, and we've talked about Microsoft 365 apps. But I only really quickly went through what a natural language processing component is. One of the key things to remember with large language models, the thing that Copilot's based on, is that they don't really understand anything. It'll feel like it. They're extremely good at being able to predict what they need to say next to be accurate and say the right thing. But natural language processing is the actual thing that allows you to talk to a Copilot. It takes your language that you speak. English is the easiest example that I can think of for what we tend to talk about here. I have a dog. That will get translated into 1, 2, 3, 4, a series of numbers that represent the words we're saying. Then all we need within the large language model is to find the pattern of those numbers within it. And then at the end, we need to then run it in reverse. We need to take the output of numbers we have and be able to feed them back into normal language. It's the 1-2, going from things you say in the way you like to say them, bringing them down, running them through an algorithm, and then outputting them back out. When you look at what it's actually doing under the hood, you'll be astonished at just how good Copilot is at being able to pick up what you need and how you need to access that info. Always remember, because of the way that the graph works, it is always based on a compliance-first opinion. If you cannot see it, Copilot cannot see it either. I know I've emphasized that already, but it's super important to say. What this does mean is that if you find that Copilot can see something that's unexpected, let your organization know. It means that you've been able to see it this whole time, and we need to get that fixed. This is an important piece of Copilot. It reaches out to all of the graph that is available. So if it is able to return something, you've always been able to see it there. Let people know if you ever see something that's not right. The last big piece I want to emphasize here, before I just show you a little bit of Copilot, is I want to talk to our responsible AI. Microsoft has, for a very long time, had a key set of responsible AI principles, and we adhere to them at all times. Responsible AI principles and practices around compliance with various government organizations and government bodies, making sure that we are using this in a way that makes sense and ensuring that you have access to the tools in a safe manner. This is our core goal. The AI tools that we have should be trustworthy. That is a key component of it. And we want to make sure that you are able to feel that these tools are trustworthy, that you can use them in the way that you expect and you can trust their output. Additionally, you should be able to be empowered to use these AI tools responsibly. We make sure that there are guardrails in place so you can use them and fall into the right space to ensure privacy and security is paramount. So always keep this in mind. We have responsible AI principles. We use this to define how these AI tools are actually designed. And we recommend that you follow those principles too. Feel free to take a look at the responsible AI principles over on learn.microsoft.com. We publish them out publicly and we're proud of them. All right, next we're going to go across and we're going to take a look at how Copilot works. And I'm going to show you just a few quick tours of some simple prompts that we can run to see how things work in our environment. Okay, so welcome to Copilot. This is available over at office.com, but as I mentioned, there's many different ways you can reach Microsoft 365 Copilot. Here on my main screen, I am currently in work mode. At the top of the screen, you'll see work and web. Work means that we are in your enterprise environment. We're going to use internal documentation and things that you have access to in your SharePoints, OneDrives, and also in any Teams, Outlook messages, etc. Straight away, we can see easy examples of some potential prompts that we can use for Copilot, such as, I've got a daily stand-up. Maybe I need some help preparing for that. Gabriel Woods has been contacting me. What about the latest messages from them? These are far from the only prompts that you're able to do with Copilot. The world's your oyster. Use your imagination and think about the ways that Copilot can work with you. It's using a natural language processing system, which means talk to it in a natural way. Use slang, use terms, but always be nice. Just like a person, Copilot responds better when you are kind to it and when you do say please and thank you. I know, but it does make a big difference. On this screen, there's a couple of important things that we need to know. First, the shield up the top. Anytime you see this shield, you know that your enterprise data is going to be protected, but the way this reflects is slightly different depending on what we're looking at. In the work mode, it means we're going to bring in your enterprise data. In the web mode, it means we're going to exclude it. So you've always got a guarantee that when you're using Copilot at work, whether you are using the web mode for general public chat or using the work mode for internal documentation, as well as potentially content from the web, we're able to make sure that your data is protected. You will see my little chat history coming on there as well. The chat history is always available in a little panel window on the right-hand side. Additionally, in the three dots at the top here, you'll see there's a little web content button. Sometimes it's good to flick that web content off, and so we don't pull in things from the web and we keep things purely internal. It's your call, but it's a nice little thing to work with. Now, what we're going to do is just a pretty simple prompt here. I have a daily stand-up coming. It's pulled in my calendar invite and it's got some information. Help me prepare for the project widget daily stand-up. Copilot is now running that prompt live. It gives me details about what's actually going in. We've got some additional components from external sources. This has pulled in some emails from my inbox there. It's also got the details in the agenda from the meeting itself and even who organized it. This sort of quick overview is perfect for what Copilot is great for. We see references to each of the things that it needs to reach out to. So if you need to pull in some extra data or get some extra context, you've got it straight away. And you've even got some follow-ups here. Drafting my update will give me a little bit of summary context on those extra emails. It's very easy and it's designed to be simple to pull in extra information from these other sources. So think about how you can use Copilot in your day. Now, this is the standalone experience. Beyond this, there is, of course, all of those embedded experiences. A quick tour of some of them. This is the embedded experience in Word. You have the ability to draft new documents with Copilot, as well as using it as a rewriting and coaching tool. Either way works well for us. Whatever works well for you is the way to use it. Within Word, there is also the side panel. And the side panel is great for asking general questions. If you need to ask a question about other documents, to pull some components in, or even link in external files, that's where you're able to do that and be able to create new content from other sources. In Outlook, there's two primary skills that we've worked with. The ability to summarize email threads, number one, very important. When I get a lot of emails overnight, I want to know what's actually going on and why I got so many. A quick summary of a thread can help you get up to speed fast and works brilliantly every time. The drafting of emails, it's a longer kind of process there. Maybe you want to change the tone. Maybe you've got the core points that you want to say, but you need to find a way to put it all together, get the context right. You can use the drafting capabilities to find that right wording, change the length, change the tone, even make it into a poem if you want to. If you're using Teams, two main ways we can use it. The Microsoft 365 chat is available, so you can use Microsoft 365 Copilot's full feature set, reaching out to multiple sources and getting context. Or you can keep it contained to a single chat thread. Both are useful in different ways. The chat thread feature is great if you're trying to work out what that action item needs to be from a long set of history, or with lots of back and forth in an asynchronous world, just what actually matters to me. What do I need to be doing here? This is far from the full set, but always remember that work web switch. If at any time you want to remove the work context and only pull from the web, ask general questions. What is an LLM? How does this work? Tell me about this animal. The sort of things that the kiddos like to look up as well. Always use that web mode. The web mode also has a nice little feature on the side, the ability to go through and change the conversation style. Different conversation styles give you different responses. A creative response is going to go far off the beaten path, whereas a precise response is going to focus on the facts and figures. Take your pick. Within the Copilot for Microsoft 365, we focus more on the precise above all else. Accuracy is key when in an enterprise environment, so that's the key focus for us. Now, the big thing to remember is that Copilot and Copilot for Microsoft 365, it doesn't end with just the Copilot chat itself. AI itself and working with AI tools, it's both art and science together. Yes, there is definitely a lot of creativity and you have full freedom to use these tools however fits you. Truly, I want you to experiment and iterate. That is how you get better at these tools, and the better you get at using the tools, the better the responses. The better the responses, the better you're going to use them, and so on and so forth. It's a positive feedback loop, and it's brilliant. AI is designed to not give the same answer twice. Well, sometimes it can, but it follows whatever path makes the most sense based on what you've said. Change up your wording. Sometimes AI is what's known as usefully wrong. I know, but if you're looking for a creative thing or trying to come up with ideas, it's going to try and look for different pathways to follow each time. This means that we get different prompts, different thoughts, different ways of drafting or other areas to improve every time we ask. Use your different AI skill sets and use this as an experimentation. Don't treat it as a one and done, always the same. Use it as a conversational tool and a conversational partner to experiment and to test ideas with. Now, there is a number of clear best practices. You don't have to follow these, but following them will get you a better response, guaranteed, with any large language model. So of course, well applies to Microsoft 365 Copilot. First, be clear and be concise. Don't waffle on if you can avoid it. Try and keep your wording clear, try and keep it short, but don't leave things out. Always ensure that you are providing feedback if things are wrong. Ensure you add extra context if it's needed. Just try and keep it to whatever the minimum would be. Just like us, Copilot works best when it's a short phrase or short emails. But also like us, it needs all the context there. So make sure you provide it all together. The next and important thing is that you should trust what Copilot says, but at all times, verify. AI and large language model tools, they have great pattern matching skills and are extremely accurate. But there is a reason we have the disclosure that AI tools are sometimes incorrect. It's pattern matching. It's not a human with the understanding there. And just like someone who doesn't have all the context or maybe doesn't know the whole scenario where you're rubber ducking a question off, we want to ensure that we're checking their work. Make sure you check the responses from Copilot for accuracy, especially when you're dealing with very specific numbers. Additionally, Copilot's not actually designed as a replacement tool, so don't use it for everything. It's not skilled in every area, and it's not supposed to be. It's got specific skill sets to help supplement your workday and make you better at what you do. It's an extension, not a replacement, so don't over-rely on it. Also, make sure that you just are creative with it. Do fun stuff, test things out, push the limits. Copilot is a tool that lets you unlock your creativity. And that is sometimes in the most menial of forms, but using it to extend out words that you find to struggle to get on a page, or just finding the right way to say that message. It's always a different way of using it, but focus in on being creative with it and using it in the way that makes you feel good. And the last two are important for us. Stay updated. We're always improving Copilot and adding in new protections and new skills, and ensure that you're prioritizing privacy and security. Those go hand in hand. New skills lead to new ways of using Copilot. New ways of using Copilot lead to new areas that you might not expect. So always be understanding and be cautious when you're working with sensitive data. Copilot will work with your sensitivity labels and all of the things we expect, but you still need to be careful and still need to be cautious. So always be thinking at the forefront, how am I prioritizing privacy and security while still getting the most out of the tool? Now, when you are building a prompt, what you are looking at here is the most effective way that you can write a prompt. Again, you don't have to follow it, but a best practice gets you best results. Always give Copilot a goal. In this case, I want 3 to 5 bullet points. Context, it's for an upcoming meeting with a client. That's going to change language, tone. It's going to change a lot about what we are responding. Give the expectations, a tone that is friendly but authoritative. That's important. We're changing how Copilot's going to say things, and that's going to change a lot about the different ways we put it together. And of course, your source. If you only want Teams messages, if you only want emails, only provide those. This goes for all different types of prompts as well. As much as the examples here are focused on Teams and email messages, if you are drafting a document, you're thinking about summarization, you're creating a presentation, whatever it is, think about the ways in which you can effectively prompt your environment. We have some great guidance on effective prompts over on learn.microsoft.com. So if you're looking for more information or deeper dives into what makes an effective prompt, go check it out. Last of all, in the best practices, there are also a few simple don'ts. Always be clear and concise. Don't be vague. When you're vague, Copilot will respond in unpredictable ways, just like a person would actually. If you don't give them the details, they're not going to quite know what to say. So they might do something that's unpredictable. Focus on if-then conditionals. If it doesn't work here, go do that. If you don't find this, go do this instead. Get creative. Use analogies. I use slang all the time, and it works great. If you can't quite find the word, use the one you've got at hand. Think about it and just talk to it in the way that makes most sense for you. One that's a really nice hidden feature of the way that LLMs work, great at role-playing. If you need to put it in the shoes of a client or put it in the shoes of a manager, tell it it's a manager. That's its job now. And it will go through and it will play that part. It can be really good for testing out stressful scenarios or really just trying to work out what sort of questions someone might ask in the room. And the last important one, you don't have to put it all in one prompt. It can be a conversation. We call them chats. And this chat back and forth can be a series of different prompts. Each chat is a totally new context. So bring in the information you need and then ask for the details of it all together. Summarize the context, summarize the content, and bring all the parts in before you go through and do that. Last of all, you know that Copilot's not going to be good at everything because it's not supposed to be. It is a skilled tool. It's a scalpel, not a hammer. If you have a repetitive task, that is great for it. If you've got clear tasks with repeatable pieces, that is what it is good at. If it's something that's ambiguous and requires interpretation and is hard to work out, that's something that Copilot can assist with, but it needs you to make that last bit of the difference there. Be clear, Say please, be polite, be curious and ask preliminary questions, and iterate. Iterate, iterate, iterate. This is the most important part of getting good at using Copilot. So provide feedback to it. Say, that's not what I was expecting. I want it more like this. Give it samples. Give different pieces of information. Do what you can to try and find the right sort of response. Beyond this as well, if there's something else you need to bring into Copilot, your organization can actually extend it into external tools. We support a whole range of ERP and CRM applications to be able to pull in document stores, wikis, blogs, you name it. If it can integrate with the graph already, we can integrate it with Copilot. So if you're looking for a way to extend this out, there's many different options you have available. All right, now that we've gone through the basics, I think it's time to work out what Copilot can do for you. Let's dive in, and I'm going to show you some options on how Copilot works for your specific environment. For marketing professionals, creativity and precision are essential, and Microsoft 365 Copilot is designed to support both. Whether you are developing campaign content, analyzing performance metrics, or collaborating across teams, Copilot serves as your strategic partner throughout the entire marketing workflow. Whether it's suggesting hashtags, visuals for social media posts in Word or Outlook, or assisting in drafting blog content or summarizing research in OneNote, Copilot is integrated across the entire Microsoft 365 suite to enhance efficiency and intelligence. It can also provide campaign insights, automate formatting, and streamline reporting, enabling you to focus on strategy rather than those administrative tasks. Up ahead, we're going to look at some practical use cases to help you quickly leverage the full potential of Microsoft 365 Copilot in your marketing efforts. Let's begin. Now, we're at the main Office page right now, and we're actually going to be using Microsoft 365 Copilot's primary standalone environment. Over here, we're going to just open up our little apps menu on the side and go straight across to Copilot. And we can start typing straight away. Down at the bottom, we'll jump into our message pane and we'll start asking Copilot some questions. I'm a director for market research, Tailspin Toys, US-based toy manufacturer, and I want to get a market analysis of the toy industry, latest trends, consumer preferences, and the most popular toys in the market. Let's see what Copilot comes back with here. We're essentially going to use Copilot to play the role of the market executive, my role. So we've asked for a comprehensive market analysis of the industry. We've got both internal and external sources because we are on that work tab at the top. If we only want external sources, we'd head across to web. Let's see what the results were. Decent summary. We're taking a look at a whole bunch of different pieces here. Return to classic play, away from digital simulations. Popular toy categories. Beautiful, it looks like a pretty decent summary to me. There's even a suggestion of some places we could go with this, like a tailored breakdown for Tailspin. Also note that external reference down the bottom there. You can always use this as an easy way to know exactly what's being pulled in and where the content's coming from. All right, now I think we can do better than our first pass. So let's take a look. Analysis was great, but please include a section on competitive landscape. All right, let's see what we can come up with here. Trying to get an idea of the competitive landscape, just as it's suggested. Now, there's going to be some things I want to include with this, but maybe we start with just the basis here. We'll see what Copilot comes back with, and we can always add some extra content in. All right, immediately I can see it's actually done the section that I've asked for. We've got the competitive landscape in, starting to put some details, and it's added it into the previous response. So it's an augmentation of what we asked for before. All right, we're scrolling back up. It's actually pulled in some documents that might be relevant. Whether they are or not, I haven't taken a look at yet, but there's definitely some stuff coming through. And things like licensing deals, we've got some extra content to work with. All right, let's see what else we're getting back here. What else could we add to the pieces? I think the next thing we should look at would be maybe some extra sections or some extra content we can look into. So we've got the data we need. What other insights could we put into place to help with the business plan for the upcoming year? After we complete the analysis, I've asked it to go back and amend that to the original report. Usually implied in Copilot, but sometimes I like to emphasize it just to make sure it's going to do exactly what I'm looking for. All right, beautiful. Immediately it's saying, all right, I've done the analysis. Would you like to actually go through and do something with that analysis? Export it elsewhere. That's your call. You can either use this as an initial researching point, or we can actually go and tell it to just put this elsewhere into a new location or into an okay spot. Now, I'm not going to get it to do that yet. So I've said, no, that's okay. Based on the information you have collected so far and collated together, I want you to actually go through and provide a little bit of extra analysis. So what analysis would you like to see? Maybe I'm interested in the analysis of the business plan. Maybe I'm interested in the analysis of the companies that are around me. Let's see if we can add an extra section on that actually. What would a toy company usually use and what other things might I have missed? Let's add a section that goes through and starts recommending some of these areas that I might want to put into play. Business planning requirements that I've failed to ask for. There we go. Now, it's going to add this in at the end of the report because, well, I've asked for a section. That's likely going to be the space that makes the most sense to put it in there. But if I wanted it explicitly at the end, easiest way to do that is to put that in play. And in fact, yeah, it's actually put it at the top. I would usually put this in at the end of a report. So if I wanted to restructure that or reformat it, nice and easy. Simply just go ask to put it in play. All right. I think we're at the point that we might have all of the information we're looking for. So let's go with its suggestion. Would I like some help turning this into a full report? Yeah, let's turn this into a full report. I'm going to ask for it to be within a single document, and I want to have an executive summary at the top as well. So even in this last moment, I'm still asking for some extra content. Not a problem. Copilot's going to handle it in its stride. It'll analyze the data that it's collated together so far, synthesize it into a single format with the single document, and then it's going to give me an output. Now that last output is something that I'm able to then download and continue to iterate on. At the moment, we're just going to let it do its analysis and get that one spun up. Few key points for the data we've been generating. First, I set a point of view. This helps Copilot a lot in understanding the context of what it is you are asking. Next, I tried to be specific wherever I could, and where I can't be specific, I try and be creative. Think about different iterative points where I can go through and improve my business plan over time. Be polite and be curious. These ones go hand in hand. Be nice to Copilot, it'll be nice to you. Be curious with Copilot's exploration of places to go, and it will return more innovative results. And from here, we're now ready to go. We can download that business plan, we can take a look through it, and we can start examining the different points. From here, I can ask for different summaries. I can go through and ask for a re-summarization of that content, or we can call this the end of it and actually use this as our new starting point for any future drafts. Next up, Microsoft Loop. Microsoft Loop makes teamwork easy by letting sales professionals create, share, and work on content together in real time. Now, when you combine that with Microsoft 365 Copilot, what you have is an AI helper built for brainstorming and drafting. It can write text, make tables, generate code, and answer questions fast to boost productivity. Let's head on in and use Copilot and Loop to research a new market and put together a report. So, if you don't see Loop on your main page, that's all right. Head on over to your Apps tab and you'll find Loop sitting there. We're going to jump in and we're going to create a new workspace. Workspaces give us a place for us to be able to reference content and have one single collaborative moment to work together. We're going to call this workspace Outdoor Toy Line Marketing, something along those lines. Research, maybe? Yeah, we'll go with research. You can always add an icon to your different Loop workspaces just to identify them as well, so give it a little take there. Now on the main page, we also want to call out any ideas here. So what are we actually doing? It's ideas for outdoor toy campaigns. Beautiful. This is what Copilot's going to use as its initial drafting point. You can either hit the Copilot button or it'll pop up, likely, as it has done for me. There's a couple of pre-built things we can work with, including a whole range of loop templates, but we can also just ask and it will pull in for those templates automatically. Let's brainstorm. Brainstorm 10 ideas for a marketing campaign for a new line of outdoor toys. All right, let's get this generated and we'll see what Copilot's come up with for a range of different things that we could potentially do. Actually, you know what? No, let's rejig what we're doing. For a new outdoor toy, we want to make sure that this is for something innovative. So let's try and do it that way. All right, pulling things together, we'll soon have our first 10 ideas to work with. We're not interested in the first iteration being the best. We're interested in just having some fresh ideas to work with. We've given it very little so far. All right, photo contests, toy ambassadors, holiday promotions. These all look like pretty good ideas so far. So let's go through and see if we can add a little bit of extra context here. Now, so far this looks good. I'll tell it that. But there is something I would like to see different. Do you think we could rewrite this report by placing information in a table instead? Something about the table structure just works better for the way I like to think. So let's go through and do that. Let's place the information in a table form and see if we can come up with something that matches the way I like to think a little bit better. We're still in the brainstorming phase. We're just trying stuff out. So let's see how we go. Maybe we can provide a couple of bits of extra info as well. Nothing really stopping us at this moment. We're just trying stuff out. All right, pulling things together, it'll go through the idea it's had previously. It'll try and iterate based on that and come up with something fresh. Here we go, ideas for an outdoor toy campaign. And yeah, it's done great. It's popped it into the loop style format. Let me just get rid of this sidebar. And we can see all of the different ideas being put together with a series of different example ideas within each of the individual idea type. Great, this is a perfect place to start with my brainstorming. This feels a lot more like what I was expecting as well. Let's add some more. I don't see anything about seasonal promotions or stuff from different holidays, so let's just ask it to add something in. Not a problem. We can go through and we can put that content in, but before I do, maybe we do a little bit of a refactor. Let's quickly grab the content, refresh it, refocus in on the idea as well. Let's just resort what we've got. Resort. There we go. Put these into a most effective to least effective space. Now, typically, best practice says I would want to also define what most effective is to Copilot. So when it puts that in play, we can be confident that it is going to actually respond in a way that's expected. Since I'm in an exploratory mode here though, I'm going to let Copilot try and rank them and see what it comes up with. All right, there's my supermarket store promotions. Beautiful. Let's go through, and I think I want to replace those. That seasonal promotions I was talking about before, I think that's the one that I want instead. Drop it out, simply replace it in the list. It understands that concept there because I sorted it at first. It also says that that's potentially the least effective one. Let's just drop it out and replace it with something else. Loop is designed as a collaborative space for you to build out your ideas. And so using Copilot as your assistant in making sure you can come up with something fresh to just try and work out what pieces of the puzzle will fit best for your campaign, look, it's a great place to start. And it is just pure exploration. Copilot is great for creative outlets like this and helping you get started when you're looking for those new ideas. Okay, next, we're going to see how Microsoft 365 Copilot can help you create, edit, summarize, and compare documents easily. Copilot is designed to act as a research assistant, gathering insights from various sources and helping you come up with new ideas and recommendations to problems that you're facing. So let's head across to Word and see if we can't come up with a little bit of a comparison and research for us. All right. New, fresh document. I don't need anything to start with, but there might be some reference documents I think I want to pull in. So I'll show you how to do that. First of all, notice all of the different sample prompts along the top. Feel free to use those if you like, but I've brought one with me. I am the marketing director for Contoso Beverage. I want to do a market analysis report for our premium chai tea beverage, and I want to combine the various attached files to create a report that describes the product. Well, I've hit attach. Let's search for chai. I've actually got a few different potential documents I can pull in. But if I don't see the document I'm looking for, no stress. I can actually go into the attach and hit the Browse Files from Cloud button. Since I'm in the web version of Copilot here, the web version of Word, I should say, we can always just pull in the relevant content bit by bit. So I'll do that now. All right, let me just quickly fix that up. I'll just grab that document back, 2 ticks. When you're referencing a few different files, it's always good to get the right ones in play. There we go. Grab that one there. Okay, so we've got our 3 documents I want to reference. Let's go through, reattach that one. Okay, we've got our 3 documents that we want to reference here. What we're going to do is get Copilot to generate the first cut. Let's see how this looks after an initial pass through. Now, each of these documents have a completely different type of data. Some have some technical information, some of them have marketing comparisons, there's a few in here with just sales numbers, but all of these give us something to work with, some information we can analyze to be able to just get some sort of conclusion. All right, now the conclusion itself is actually looking pretty good so far, so let's just take a look at some of the other areas. All right, broad promotion plan. Yep, looking fine there. I think it's got some pretty decent pieces to it. Interesting. There's actually something missing from here. I've got a little bit on market trends, but I'm not seeing a section on competitive analysis. We're looking to break into a market. I kind of want to know who else is there. Let's go through and take a look at some of the trends that we have in an environment. I want to analyze the current competition in the Latin American chai market, and I want to compare the key players in the industry. So let's get that competitive analysis section started. Okay, market trends are there, key implications, and there it is. Our new section's being generated right now. Okay, that's brilliant. Now, I asked for actually quite a few things in that prompt that I brought along. Things like product offerings, pricing, distribution channels. And so it's done its best to pull in all of that information and kind of get it all together. Immediately, what you will be able to see though, once I actually go through and add another little section here, I want to add some stuff about distribution as well, because distribution channels, I think it's just important that we focus in on that. If I am ever unhappy with a draft, there's nothing stopping me from going back and forth between different versions of the drafts to kind of find the different pieces that I find most interesting. All right, well, let's get this new section here. I want to make sure that's into play, and then I'll show you where we can actually shift through these different drafts that we've created, find the pieces that work best for us, and then eventually keep the one that matches what we're looking for best of all. All right, here we go. So, not happy with this draft? No problem. Go back to the previous one, or even back to the first one that we cut. You can actually see it's getting a little longer each time because we've added and asked for a bit more content. Now, I hit keep it. It's not highlighted in blue anymore. That is important. We are now into the point where we are actually looking at being able to work with the data and can ask for rewrites, but we are now out of drafting mode. If you ever want to go back into the point where you're generating data with Copilot again, not a problem. Start a new document or highlight everything and you can refresh from there. Otherwise, rewrite and use Copilot to revise. Last of all, I want to show how Copilot works within Excel. Excel has a couple of different ways that we can leverage Copilot, so I want to show you some of the different ways we can get data insights for existing information. Let's dive straight in. Now here you can see a marketing trend report for chai sales in the region. On the left-hand side, I've got the months of the year, and we've also got a little Copilot icon. If you want to get some general data insights, this is a great way to go. But I'm interested in something broader, so I'm going to open up the Copilot side pane. The side pane here is where I'm able to do things outside of the document, ask broader questions and ask for bigger insights. To that extent, one of the pre-built prompts is literally just show a data insight. Sometimes we don't know what we're looking for, so getting Copilot to cut the data in different ways, it's auto-selected the table that I have in front of me here, and it's given me a rough map. We can see a chart over time that over each month we are getting larger sales, more in December, smallest in April. Okay, beautiful. Now we can ask for new insights, or we can actually add directly to a new sheet. Something important happens when you hit add to a new sheet though. You see how I've got go back to data with my mouse over it there? Copilot always takes into context the sheet that you are currently on. Keep that in mind if you're looking to reanalyze information and you want to be able to jump back and go do stuff there. All right, we've already got some more insights happening. It is genuinely this straightforward if you're just trying to brainstorm some ideas about data, cutting it in different ways to see what info you can get. Our social media engagement over July is fantastic. So maybe we start looking at some ways that we can try and map this in different ways. What else can I look for here? I think there's some stuff that I could really get into. Maybe there's something I'm missing in terms of the content. What about if I show a suggestion for a new formula? It's a good idea. What other columns would be relevant to this data? What other things would help me be able to understand what's being shown? Chai sales ratio. Okay, interesting. It's got a full explanation. Okay, this is good. It shows what the ratio actually is, gives me an explanation, gives me a breakdown of the formula, including a detailed explanation as well, so I can understand what's happening. And then we've got the actual, what we would expect to see in the column as well. Now, this is all dynamically done. We're going to insert this one. You can see it's already popped in on the table there, but there's nothing stopping me from asking for another one. So I'm going to hit show a suggestion for a formula column again. Let's see how it changes and if we get something different in this particular lot. It's now analyzing it with the sales ratio included. So what have we got? The sales difference. I think that's a decent one as well. What's the value of one versus the other? And what's the net difference between units sold in the two different types? That's a good piece of information to find. We can simply add it in and use it as an easy way to extend our insights out. Rinse and repeat as many times as you need. If you're trying to work out how you can cut data in different ways to find that new insight, Copilot is a great place to help you find those bits of insight there. All right, let's close things out. You've seen how Microsoft 365 Copilot empowers those in the marketing space to work faster, think bigger, and create smarter. Whether it's drafting those campaign ideas, analyzing market data, or optimizing social media posts, Copilot helps you stay ahead of the curve. We went through and we applied those capabilities by merging reports, forecasting trends, and crafting a little bit of compelling content as well. The key? Strong prompting. It's what turns Copilot into a powerful creative ally. With these skills, you're ready to drive engagement, sharpen your messaging, and deliver results. Go spark your next campaign, and Copilot, it's got your back. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.